Harrison studio with us. Scott is the owner of Mustang Marketing. It is in the east of the county, and of course you obviously have clients all over the world.
We're blessed to have clients all over.
Yes. But Scott is one of our resident experts on politics and one of my favorite go-to guys. And we're attempting to let you have information that you might not have had or you wouldn't know where to go to get it. And we're also attempting to do so in as much of a non-biased, objective, nonpartisan way of sharing with you, so that my belief is knowledge is power. You get the information, then you can make a more informed decision. When you make that informed decision, I think that decision is a better decision.
Absolutely.
So we're encouraging you, of course, to, by now you should have registered to vote. We're encouraging you to vote.
If not, it's too late.
Yes, exactly.
So go watch something else. You don't get to vote.
Now, we're going to discuss Props 20 and 27 in this same segment, and that's because one kind of piggybacks on the other, and
yes.
or through default, or I'll let you explain that.
Well, it's actually now one of the weaknesses of the proposition system, and we should probably do another segment on this someday if we can.
Yes, please.
Is talking about that, because the danger now is that propositions originally were set up in 1911 by Hiram Johnson, and at the time the state was deadlocked. The railroads controlled the state, and Hiram Johnson set this system up as a way to circumvent the railroads, and it worked very well. Now we just use it all the time. We've got 9 propositions. We vote on them almost every year, every other year at a minimum.
Right.
And it's a complete switch from what the original system was set up. It was the last resort of the people. It no longer is. It's a resort of businesses, and the people have very little to do with it, just like we do in Sacramento. Prop 20 is a critical one. I'll read it, which is this. It is redistricting of congressional districts. It's a constitutional amendment to the state California Constitution. Now, we've set up a system now in the state where we are going to be redistricting, which we do every 10 years. So 2010 census comes out, and we'll be doing redistricting. Historically, that has been done by the state legislature. State legislature does their own districting. And what they do then is they protect their jobs. When you look at the districts in the state of California, there's 120 different. There's 80 for the Assembly, and then there's 40 for the state Senate. Not counting the 53 we have for congressional, which is what this is about. So what Sacramento does is they get together in a closed room and they carve these districts up. And when you look at them, they're remarkably silly the way they're carved up. And they're carved up so that we have not changed parties in a district in over 10 years in the state of California.
Now, people might not understand what you mean by carved up.
Okay.
But so, let's take the one of the districts that goes along the coast and then goes inland and then
right.
shoots.
Well, look at the 37th, which is one that's being contested now between Jeff Gorell and Farrell Masry.
Okay.
Audra Strickland has that seat.
Right.
There are actually parts of the district that don't touch.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a lot of the eastern part of Ventura County, then you've got some of the western San Fernando Valley, and then you've got Lancaster. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing in between except a freeway. And they've done that because they wanted to group all the Republicans together so that Audra could always win that seat, Tony before her, and Jeff or whoever into the future. And they do that. It's the only thing that Republicans and Democrats ever agree on is let's not lose our own jobs. And so what they do is they set up a system, and you go look at any of the 120 districts, and they skew very heavily toward one or the other of the parties. Now, geographically. So what they do is they'll go down and say, well, there's a whole bunch of Republicans that live over here, and there's a whole bunch of Democrats that live here, and then there's a bunch more Republicans that live here. So we'll move these two things together and call them one district, and we'll take these Democrats and we'll go find another block of them over here. And so what you have then is a system set up where the party is virtually guaranteed to win the district. What this is trying to do is to make redistricting what people would call fair. Mm-hmm. So we've put this in place now in the state for our assembly districts and our state senate districts, those 120 people that we send up to Sacramento. That's in place now, and this cycle will be the first time that we do that. When we voted that in as a state, we did not vote at the same time to do that for our congressional districts. California has more congressmen than any other state. We have 53, and we did not vote to do that with those districts. So Prop 20 is saying we want to do the same thing with our congressional districts that we have done with our state legislative districts. We want to make these fairer. I don't think that's politically biased. I think almost everybody would agree.
More logical.
Exactly. And so, for example, Ventura County should probably have 2 assembly people. Well, wouldn't it make sense to have, half Ventura County for one and half for the other? Not a little bit of Santa Barbara and a touch of Lancaster and a bit of West Hills, and it doesn't make any sense. So they're going to try to make that a little more logical if they can. They've put together a commission. Commission has 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, and 4 neithers. So they're registered voters, but they're independents or green or libertarian or whatever they are.
Declined
But
state.
yeah, they could be anything except Democrat or Republican. And they'll obviously be the deciding factor. I think we can fairly well predict which way the Democrats and Republicans will vote. Now it's a matter of these four in the middle. So we'll see how that works out. The one that we passed in 2008 was Prop 11, and that's what set us up for the State Assembly and the State Senate. So we'll see what happens.
So, but let me clarify then.
Sure.
A yes vote on 20 means that you agree that we should do, as we've done with the other two segments of
Yes.
our representatives.
Yes.
And you want that 14-member commission to make those decisions.
Absolutely. You want to just roll this up underneath it.
Okay.
So we voted as a state to do this at the state level for State Assembly and State Senate. And now with Prop 20, what we would do is we would take our congressional districts and roll it up into the same thing.
So we'd have cohesiveness.
We would have cohesiveness.
Okay. Then fast forward to 27.
27 is the only proposition that both the Democratic and the Republican Party are supporting. It's the only one of the 9 that they're in agreement. The reason they're in agreement at this is because it's the one that would kill Prop 20.
So it would override. Or
It would
supersede.
override, yeah.
Okay.
They want to maintain control of districts because then they maintain control of the jobs. Right, which makes an awful lot of sense. Now, what's interesting when you go back to Prop 20 for a moment, the Republican Party is in favor of it. Why? Because they're the minority party in the state of California right now, so they want the districts to change, and the Democrats are in control. The Democrats are not in favor of it because currently they're in control of the state, and as a result, they want to manage the
To stay that
redistricting
way,
so that they can have more Democrats in D.C. than they have now. And it's so transparent. It's so sad for both parties to not be able to do what almost everybody else would agree is in the best interest of the state of California. And Prop 20 actually, if you go through and read your pamphlets, and hopefully everybody does, there's really no rational argument against. All of the other 8 propositions, you can see why people would legitimately be in favor or opposed. You may agree or disagree, and of course any of us who vote eventually have to. But you can look at it and say, okay, Maria, I'm going to vote differently than you, but I get it. I understand why you're for 23 or against. There is no rational reason to not be in favor of Prop 20. And when you read this and the people who are against, it's just silly.
So let's go to a yes on 20. Someone could also vote for a yes on 27.
They could vote yes on 27.
You can't recuse yourself. I mean, you could abstain.
Yes.
But you could still vote yes on both, but they are diametrically opposed.
They are, and then really your vote just cancels itself out. And if they both pass, the one that passes with the greater majority is the one that would actually win out.
Now,
and that's part of the whole silliness of the proposition system, is so many of the propositions now are saying, well, if Prop X passes, then we want to do this, but if Prop Y passes, it converts to this, and you have to add it up, and it's 3 times on Tuesday, and who's got 2 oranges? And so the common people, you and I, we really don't understand. You know, going back to some of our previous discussions, for example, Prop 19, it's not a simple question of whether we believe that marijuana should be legal or illegal. It's so complex that you just don't get to make a simple yes-no decision. It's the same thing here. No rational person is going to look at this and say, we should not have fair redistricting. No matter what party you're in, you realize it's the right thing to do for the state. It's our one chance to break the logjam.
Right.
We're down now to
the gerrymandering.
Exactly. That's what it's called, is gerrymandering. And named after a man named Jerry, by the way. And we're down to a point now where the most recent poll shows that less than 10% of Californians think our legislators are doing a good job. Less than 10%. Wow. It's remarkable. And the only way that we're going to get those people out of there and get people in, and regardless of which party you're in, you want to get people that are a little closer to the center, so maybe there can be some compromise. You've got to have fair redistricting, and the next step would be open primaries.
So, in fairness, again, a yes on 20 says not business as usual, but business has been being done.
Yes.
And 27 is business as usual.
Absolutely. Okay. Business as usual. Stay out of our business. We want to run things the way we do. And it's interesting to note, for example, all of the major newspapers in the state are for Prop 20, with the exception of the Sacramento Bee. And all major newspapers in the state are against Prop 27. The Libertarians, the GOP, and Meg Whitman are all for Prop 20. But on the liberal side, the unions are all against it. They want things to stay status quo. Right. And in fairness, when I say that the Democrats and the unions, which is the liberal side of the state, want to keep things status quo, if the Republicans in business were in charge right now, all of this would be reversed.
Right.
And Republicans in business would be saying, oh no, let's keep things exactly the same. But since they're not, they get to take the high ground. They
But
get to say, let's do what's in the best interest of the state.
And then, of course, it does come down to each individual voter. So we're out of time, but so a yes on 20 changes things up, a yes on 27 keeps things the same.
Yep, absolutely.
Scott Harris, Maria Sanchez, KADYTV.com.